and I have like a hate mob on the internet that you want to see me dead or in prison or picking cabbages or cotton,
Oh,
people will try to literally, like, people have literally tried to murder me, like, multiple times.
Now, I know this is going to be pretty hard for most of you to believe, but after watching today's video, you're going to realize that Johnny Somali is actually far more delusional and off the rails than most people initially thought, which, if you know anything about his history whatsoever, you know that seems like something that would almost be impossible to do. But it looks like today that's exactly what we're going to be watching him do. I'm also sure that basically no one at this point really needs any sort of background on Johnny Somali at all, so getting right into it, a few days ago Johnny Somali had this secret interview, and since then it's pretty much been completely deleted from the internet, and really the only way that we're even taking a look at this today is because I got most of the clips from the YouTube channel 15 Minutes of Shame, so also go and check him out once you're finished with this video. But this interview was originally uploaded to Johnny Somali's channel and the channel of the female co-host that you're going to be hearing in this interview, and before we even move on, I just want to let y'all know that I do not know her account name nor her name in general, which might honestly be a good thing, and you're going to figure out why soon. I also would want to start explaining pretty much everything that he's trying to say in this interview off the jump, like how he's trying to play the victim card and everything else, but I feel like it's best that we listen to it come directly from him first. So with that being said, I also forgot to mention that this is audio only, so I might have to just toss up a placeholder image or something, but let's finally take a look at this interview.
But I started streaming in Thailand, Japan, Korea, like a few different countries, Indonesia, like just kind of streaming my life as a tourist. And it kind of it's a very toxic space, the IRL streaming space, because, you know what I mean? You have to entertain your viewers, and sometimes your viewers, they don't want to see you. There's so many content creators that they can watch to say like, hey, I'm eating this nice food here and I'm going to this beach, but
they like to see
people
things
like
that are appealing.
they like to be entertained. They like degenerate content. And I am a degenerate, I have to be honest.
Now, before I immediately start digging into everything stupid that he said here, towards the end there, we might have just caught Johnny Somali saying the most self-aware and intelligent thing he's ever said, which is that he's 100% aware that he's a complete degenerate, and really the only reason that he is a degenerate nuisance streamer is because if he was making normal content, he just admitted that he really just wouldn't be able to compete in that space whatsoever. But that's probably the only smart thing that he'll be saying throughout this entire interview, because just at the beginning alone, his delusions were already kind of spilling out when he said he's just filming his life as an IRL streamer and how the general IRL space is just toxic, which he isn't completely wrong there, but at least in this case, they're obviously not just being toxic to you for no reason.
I love that because so am I, my friend. You know, you said you do a lot of IRL streaming as opposed to this notion of video game streaming, and that's honestly the thing I wanted to know. So I'm sure I told you when we first met, I do IRL content as well. I went to the Democratic National Convention with a very provocative sign.
What did the sign say? I looked at it and
It
said,
said, race war now, fascism now, go down.
and nobody tried to attack you for that?
Oh, no, several people did. No, I risked quite literally my entire career life, family life by doing that. There were 200,000 people when I got off the platform of the station with that sign.
That's crazy. And you didn't have any fear of your life when you did that?
None. I had none because I knew what I was doing. And I'm sure I'm going to ask you this. You have a lot of, maybe you don't, but maybe you have motives for what you do, what you do. Maybe it's an idea or a value. But for me, my only value in that situation was freedom of speech, protecting every American's right to talk about what they want to talk about.
Now, that clip right there was a bit more of the co-host talking rather than Johnny Somali himself, and just from that alone, you might be starting to understand why I said that it's probably a bit better, if anything, that no one really knows this person's name or account, because she's essentially a female version of Johnny Somali, which of course, like we've seen time and time again, the absolute best way to get these type of people to pretty much just go away and stop what they're doing is just to not give them any attention or any promotion in any way possible, including even mentioning their name.
I agree with you on that. I feel like I should be able to say whatever I want and do whatever I want if I'm not hurting anyone.
That is,
like, if people want to call me racist, if people want to call me all these different slurs or whatever, I'm a racist, I'm this, I'm that, you know what I mean? It doesn't really affect me, and it shouldn't mean violence. I feel like words should never equate to violence. And
That's
If
what
you look at anything I've ever done, I've been offensive. Like I don't think being offensive means kill somebody. And I have like a hate mob on the internet that you want to see me dead or in prison or picking cabbages or cotton.
oh gosh.
I'm like, I don't know why.
Why? Like what does that accomplish for the person saying it? Like it only fuels to the fire what they are dwelling about on the daily. I feel people, and what I've learned throughout this experience of IRL content making, which is kind of a newer, more new concept, especially when you involve politics, is that people get jealous sometimes, people get fearful, and people start jumping to conclusions.
I agree with you. And I like that how free you are. I scrolled your Twitter page once I first found your account and I was like, crazy. I was like, I want to be friends with this person.
I off the wall, balls to the walls, insane.
How does the saying go again? These people are like two peas in a pod. You can almost audibly hear for a second there Johnny Somali just getting completely stun-locked after hearing her statements and realizing that this person is honestly just as delusional as me. How perfect.
But it's good to be free. Like I don't like these boundaries that society tells me that I need to behave this kind of way. I don't know. I think just from a youth, I'm not like authority. I don't care if it's my parents, my teacher, whatever, anybody, religious scholar, anybody telling me what to do. I don't give a.
No,
I want to do what I want with my life.
Down to I don't give.
And nowadays, our society has moved to a point where if you do these things, people will try to literally, like people have literally tried to murder me, like multiple times, like on camera, like on live stream. I've like been attempted to be killed multiple times. I survived every attack. Thank God.
Punched. I saw that video where you were decked.
Yeah, and it's happened. And so many people are in the comments like, "Oh, next time stab him, next time kill him, next time." I'm like, for what? Like, I've never put a hand on anybody in my entire life. Like, I don't get it. I feel like those people are more psycho than me.
I am so glad you said that because I try to tell people who have come from like my literal life, who have tried to come to my building complex, people who are just absolutely deranged. I say to them every time, like, you realize you're your own problem here. I am so insignificant in terms of your personal problems and gripes with society.
This interview is really just a display of the deadly combo of delusion and victim complex. Just off the jump there, I'm just gonna call cap on this immediately. Johnny Somali says he never put his hands on anyone ever. That's just straight up a lie. I made a video on him probably about 6 months ago where it was this female streamer literally recording him because he was just being a drunk jackass, and he went up to her and like hit her phone out of her hand or something along those lines, and in the process of that he also obviously hit her. And sure, it's not like he just straight up walked up to someone and started attempting to wail on them, but the point still stands. He just straight up lied there. I also do want to say that as long as no one is being physical with you, I don't condone of any sort of violent acts or anything like that, but you also do have to understand when you're doing the type of things that these two people do, especially the female here, which her whole get up is basically the same as Johnny Somali's, except she'll just go around and be absolutely as racist as possible and use all of the slurs that she can in the book just to incite a reaction out of someone. You're not really allowed to be surprised or honestly even blame some of these people when they might potentially want to maybe punch your head off.
I agree with that because listen, me and you, what power do we have in society? Are we politicians? Do we have any kind of power in the world to like change policy or
maybe we could
jail people or maybe one day, but at this stage, no. We're just using our voices. But why do people want to squish us like ants? That's what I'm trying to figure out to this day. I still like people think like I'm not self-aware. Like I get what I say sometimes is provocative. So yeah, people don't like it. How this whole thing started was when I first started IRL streaming. I started streaming in like actually around this time in 2023. So almost 2 years ago, like May 2023. So like 2 years ago, I started streaming. I was streaming to a couple of friends on Discord. I opened up Twitch and Kick.com. I was in Japan one night. I got super drunk, like blackout drunk, and someone sent me a donation, and someone was like $50, and someone was like, "Say Hiroshima, Nagasaki." So I said it on the train. Like, I was like, "What the fuck?" I said it. The next day, I wake up, my phone is hot. 5,000 fucking follower requests on Instagram. We're gonna kill you. Like, we're gonna lynch you. We're gonna. And ever since then, I was like, it's not like a superpower, but I was like, ever since then, people have paid attention to every word that comes out of my mouth, and I was like, I might as well just trigger these people more.
What he just said there pretty much 100% confirms what I said earlier in the way to get rid of these people being just don't give them attention. People like this literally thrive off of even the slightest amount of attention, whether it's good or bad, and it seems like honestly for most of them, they'd really rather the negative attention, especially since it is just the cop-out easy thing to do. Growing your channel, brand, or even as a person and trying to get attention attention is a lot harder to do the traditional / correct way, because you usually have to possess some sort of talent, skill, or be at least a likable, funny person. But when you're just being a jackass, anyone can do that. That takes absolutely no skill, and it's pretty much guaranteed to get you at least some attention.
And let me tell you, people who have had major gripes with me have called me the most incendiary words. They have called me. And let me tell you, no and I'm not supporting or saying I condone these ideologies, but no Republican center-right person has ever talked down to me like that. But these hyper leftists and these censorship warriors, they have called me every name in the book. And I insist very heavily that no person who's even more extreme than me on the right they've actually been very respectful. I've gone to dinners with some very prolific, full-blown who bought me a meal and shook my hand after and said we're just human, just like me. And that's very telling. That's very telling.
I feel like the liberal people are the ones that are the most racist to me too. They're the ones calling me I need to die or whatever.
Isn't
You know
it
what I
funny
mean?
how
I feel
it's
like
always that way?
I just feel like if you're not hurting anybody, and I feel like it's cliche. Everybody always said this for years. I don't agree with what you say, but I respect your right to say it. That is gone from our society.
Now, for all of the 20 longtime channel viewers here, it's no secret to you that I'm not really into politics whatsoever, and I don't even know how this interview turned political, but one thing that I am absolutely certain on is, regardless of your political stance, I'm just about 100% sure that basically everyone has the exact same opinion on Johnny Somali. It doesn't matter if you're left, right, middle, up, down, or anywhere in between. Basically everyone dislikes Johnny Somali and everything that he does.
We have cancel culture. We have this. It's like a digital lynch mob. I feel like right now I'm going through what Emmett Till went through in the 50s or the 40s, whenever they were lynching black people. But they're just doing it to me on YouTube and Twitter.
You know, half my family's black, and unfortunately, it's very sad that occurred in our country's history. I had a great uncle who was a lynching victim for being falsely accused of having relations with a white woman, and he was ultimately killed at a very young age. He was a child, basically, and it's not that I'm an anti-racism warrior, but I don't appreciate being called a racist. I actually get a little ticked at it because whilst I'm a realistic race rationalist and I see races for what they can or can't be, I don't have any bone of hate in my body. I don't feel those feelings of being hyper offended by someone's existence.
This is honestly getting significantly worse by the segment. I don't know how much more I can take here. Comparing what Johnny Somali is going through right now, reminder, due 100% to his own doings, to what happened to Emmett Till is absolutely outrageous. And I'm sure that I don't need to explain to anyone that these are two vastly different situations. Also, combining that with the fact that this female co-host here is just yapping on about how she's pretty much the least racist person ever, when that's literally her entire personality. Her entire career is based on intentionally being racist to people for a reaction.
I agree with you. I feel the same way. Like I never wake up out of my bed one day and say like Indians, Jews, these people. Like I don't wake up with that negative. Like I want to go outside and I see someone from a different race and I want to hurt them. No, sometimes I get drunk. Sometimes I get drunk. I say something. You know what I mean? It's all in good fun. Like I don't understand why words are taken
so
to this point of murder. Like literally, I get death threats every day. Like some dude tweeted at me like 2 days ago, and this is like my 9th Twitter account because they keep deleting my Twitter account. Some guy tweeted at me like, "I got your address. I'm gonna leave you and your friend in a pool of blood." I'm like, who's more psycho, me or you?
That's schizophrenic. That's just schizophrenic, dude.
Someone on YouTube told me this 5'4" black kid is like bullying Asian people. I'm gonna murder you. I'm like, bro, you need to go to the psych.
No, like there are people who need to be Baker acted immediately on not only this app but the whole world. Like these irrational outbursts, and I think a lot of the time these people are jealous that they are not bold and brave enough to say what they actually want to say.
There's really two things here, with the first one being, kind of like I said earlier, while I do understand where a lot of people are coming from, like I said, I am usually against most acts of violence, especially if the person that you're targeting hasn't previously gotten physical with you first. But the other part is, I truly believe that there's not a singular person that dislikes Johnny Somali or whoever this girl is because they're jealous of them. And I don't know, call me Doctor Strange, but I just don't see any reality where that's even close to a possibility.
I've had every consequence in the book. I've been banned off of. I'm almost as canceled as Nick Fuentes. I've been banned off almost every single social media platform.
Are you
Multiple
banned on,
times.
on Cash App too and like other banking platforms?
No, but I'm pretty sure if I continue the path I'm going, that's coming. And that's
I'm
that's
sure
why
so,
like
too.
that's the they actually banned me from Airbnb, which is the crazy thing. I got an email randomly because like the Times of Israel when I went to Tel Aviv and I went to a Netanyahu protest and it went viral in Israel
Why
and
didn't you invite? Oh my God.
somebody like I was holding this giant. I was like this one. I was on Kick.com and I was like one of the, like I was a pretty large streamer on that platform where they kicked me off. I had like 4,000 viewers live. I was holding the BB Escobar sign and like I was chanting, leading the protest in Tel Aviv. And I don't know. I feel like I'm just an agent of chaos. I don't. I
I
just
feel
like
the
chaos.
same way about myself.
I don't care what the protest is about. I just want to insert myself and make content and just. I don't know. It's just it's better than sitting in the house and being bored. You know. I like to create chaos. I like to create
Well, chaos
not violence.
can be.
Now, this is another part where the delusion is really taking over. I just really find it hard to wrap my head around how, in basically the same sentence that he's proclaiming how he's an agent of chaos and how he loves chaos, he's also just 100% surprised when chaos and misfortune shows up. Anytime someone runs up on him or anytime he gets banned from one of these platforms or anything along those lines, he just can't seem to understand why, and then just usually resorts back to it being a targeted attack against him because everyone just doesn't like him for some odd reason and they're also jealous maybe. But with that said, that pretty much wraps up this interview. There's like 5 minutes left of him just really rambling on about more of the same on how he's the victim, he actually has never done anything wrong, they're just words, and how everyone just hates him for no reason. So I'm not gonna sit here and waste your time with that. And if you made it this far in the video, you probably liked something, so you may as well drop a like and maybe even subscribe, because the next time Johnny Somali either gets beat up or potentially goes to jail, we're of course gonna be covering it here. But I'm not gonna hold y'all for too long, so I'll catch you guys in the next one.